Over 2/3 of athletes experience overtraining. If you're watching this, you're probably into running, or definitely. And if you're into running, then you probably experienced this at some point in your career. Over 2/3 of athletes experience overtraining at some point. And it can be a pretty sad and lonely road, where the ability to perform, it just disappears. In my experience, it's pretty hard to deal with. If you don't initially suspect overtraining, then it can lead to a lot of worrying, confusion, and desperation to try to figure out why your performance has just disappeared. But it shouldn't really come as a surprise, because if you're anything like me, most competitive runners are more likely to push it too hard than to just back off a little bit. It's that inner drive and determination that is the secret to success, but can also be your worst enemy. As Steve Magnus once put in a video, the easiest thing to do is push it too hard in training. Create high levels of fatigue that take a long recovery period. And in my experience, that is completely true. You get greedy, things are going well, and you want to just keep taking and taking. But that's the moment when things quickly get taken away from you. And it always happens when things are going well. Things are moving along nicely. Things are flowing. You're going places. But then you want those few extra percentages, so you push yourself that little bit too hard.
Yeah, there's no way that I could maintain that for a marathon, so.
Identifying overtraining isn't as easy as it sounds. When you're trying to compete at your best and you're trying to make the most improvements throughout a training block, then you're treading a fine line. Now, I'm not the only one who must have seen subpar performances appear when it appears that you're training your best. When training for long distance events such as a marathon, it requires a lot of training volume, and that often results in high levels of fatigue. We work on the principles of progressive overload and cumulative fatigue. What we want to do is we break the body down incrementally, and then we rebuild it back stronger than it was before. So how do we know when we're just accumulating fatigue or when we're actually pushing it too far? These are the signs that you want to look out for. Number one, sessions are harder than usual. Breathing's heavy, paces are hard to hit, everything just feels a little bit out of control. What would normally be within your capability or within your wheelhouse, all of a sudden just isn't quite there. Now, we all have bad days, but if this carries on for a week, then that just isn't normal.
I was hoping maybe that would give me a bit more confidence coming here and doing the track session, but...
Number two, no motivation to get training done, or you're just dreading workouts. Now, there's not many people in the world who like going out in the middle of winter, in the snow, to get training done. But sometimes you just got to do it. But what I'm talking about is if you consistently just don't want to go out and run, or a session that you would normally be capable of doing, you're just really scared of. These are just signs that things aren't how they should be. Number three, sleep deteriorates. Now, I think this one's a hard one to follow. Let me give you an example. I would always go to bed and get more than 8 hours sleep during the week. But is that good sleep? Apparently, going to bed and having 8 hours is the magical number. So in my head, I was doing things right. But there's a difference between going to bed and getting 8 hours of good sleep or just rolling around with your legs aching. And I think the only way to be able to track that is by making a diary. And I'll show an example. You need to rate your quality of sleep. I normally do it from 1 to 10, and then you can then track that over a longer period. Otherwise, you can quickly forget what a good night's sleep feels like as it starts to deteriorate. So that then gets onto HRV and heart rate. If HRV is decreasing and heart rate is increasing, it's generally a sign that things aren't going well. Now, don't look at this individually just on one night. You need to look at this over a longer period, at least 3 nights, preferably a week. You want to see a trend. If it's going up, things are good. If it's going down, or if HRV is going down, heart rate's going up, then this is a warning sign and something you should be taking seriously. And the last one, number 4, is being moody and irritable. This one should be easy to follow. If you're finding things irritating you, which just shouldn't really be irritating you, or you're just generally not in a good mood, then this is not a good sign. I'll give an example. My mum came to visit before London, and I was at the start of overtraining. And I wanted to go out and do things with her, but I just found it such a challenge. I really didn't have the motivation, and I just was a little bit irritated by it. And if that's happening outside of running, then it's not worth it, I don't think.
Say something for the camera if you want.
So the usual narrative, it's just to take lots of time off. Do the exact opposite of what got you there. That is basically nothing. If you go looking online for advice on what to do with overtraining, that's exactly it. Do nothing. So when I jumped in that big black hole of overtraining, that's what I did. The only problem is that every time I ran, I just felt worse. Fitness was decreasing, but freshness was in theory increasing. Only my legs just felt stiff, sore, unresponsive. I'm not against having a break, even though it might seem like it. A break is needed periodically to help reset and refresh. But what I'm going to talk about today is muscle tone, because since the London Marathon, I've been reading the book by Marius Bakken, and when I read the section on muscle tone, it just felt like a light bulb moment. Everything made complete sense. The problem lies with the foot hitting the ground. Impact forces 2 to 4 times of body weight, going through muscles, tendons and ligaments thousands of times per session. And that takes a lot of time to recover from. Something that the heart and lungs can do really quickly, but the muscles, they can't. Muscle tone is the baseline tension in the muscle. It's the internal resistance to deformation when the muscle's completely relaxed. But what matters is, the harder the training session, the more muscle tone rises. And the harder it is, the longer it takes for the muscle tone to return to baseline. When things are going well, muscle tone is normal, elasticity is high, and stiffness is balanced. When things get too hard in training, these get out of balance. So what resonates for me with this? I used to think that heavy legs and being tired was just the price you paid for being a marathon runner. That mentality of go hard or go home, push it to the limit, push it a little bit more, and the results will come. One thing Marius Bakken says in the book that completely resonates is that the muscles know first when it comes to overtraining. And he talks about a stair test. Same set of stairs, same time, every day. See what your thighs feel like as you go up. Only don't do it straight after running, because you won't be able to tell very easily. Do it at a different time of the day, before you go to work, something like that. And the first thing you normally notice when you are overtraining is that your thighs feel heavy when you go up the stairs. And that completely rings true for me. It's literally one of the first things I remember thinking, oh wow, these stairs are hard to go up today. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going back to 160 kilometre plus weeks anytime soon, and I'm not likely to be getting in a hot bath anytime soon either. But I'm also not going to sit around on the sofa waiting for things to resolve themselves, which I'm sure they will, but how long that'll take, nobody knows. In my experience, sitting around doing nothing when you've overtrained doesn't really help. First aspect and main aspect of the new approach is lots of easy running. By easy, I really mean easy. 70% or less of my max heart rate. And I do that because I just can't be trusted. If I don't have a metric to go by, things are just going to slip. And I'm keeping the frequency. So regularly I'm running twice per day, or I was before London Marathon. So I'm getting back to that. But rather than doing some longer runs, maybe 12, 14 kilometers, I'm just doing a lot of 6 or 8 kilometers to keep things easy. And the interesting aspect that I'm trying is lots of short intervals. I'm talking 30-second intervals, 45-second intervals, 60-second intervals with short rests. And the reason for this is that you can then recruit a wide range of muscle fibers because you can get some speed in the legs, but without causing that high level of fatigue from longer intervals. So why easy running? Easy running promotes blood flow, lowers cortisol, and most importantly, it's just good for your mental health. If you're used to running, then you know what that feels like, and when it's taken away from you, that can also cause stress.
This isn't something I would have ever thought to do. To be completely honest, I was terrified of going out for a run before London Marathon. Every time I looked at my running shoes, I was convinced that I was making things worse. That whatever fitness I had left was just being completely destroyed.
What have you been doing? Oh, just absolutely nothing. Why are you walking like that then?
But when you stop panicking and look at the actual physics, the amount of impact and eccentric forces that are going through your legs whilst running compared to a sport such as cycling or swimming, it all makes sense. The muscular system is the limiting factor in adaptation and progression. So then it makes even more sense that when you cross that line of overtraining, your muscles are not just getting tired, they're getting thrown completely out of balance. Catch me on the next video where you'll see if this new method of dealing with overtraining really works.